Hey there, friends and family. Welcome back to another week. We have cycled through our social emotional learning competencies, so we're coming back to the top, which is self awareness. And specifically this week, we are talking about emotional awareness. We spend a lot of time talking about emotional intelligence in all of my classes because I don't really think there's anything more important. I think it is the most significant form of intelligence, and it's something we can work on. It's a form of intelligence we can improve, and it's essential to success in any endeavor and any phase of our lives. So we're starting by looking at how we respond to our emotions. Specifically, I want us considering how we outwardly respond to our negative emotions. I want us to consider the way we react. I know that in my life, this is something I've had to think about and try to make some changes. When I was younger, I was very anxious, very nervous. I also would have emotional outbursts. That's something that I often think, if my life were recorded, every moment of my life were recorded so that other people could see it, I think about what are the things that I wouldn't feel so great about, that I would feel uncomfortable having other people watch. And for me, a lot of that has to do with how I used to deal with my emotions. For a long time growing up and into adulthood, I think I packed down how I was feeling emotionally, and it would often come out in an outburst. And I would do things that I think are silly. I thought were silly at the time and kind of embarrassing, like, punching a wall, doing something like that, that was not being in control of my emotions. And it took a lot of time and a lot of work, and I'm certainly still not perfect in how I express my emotions. But I'd like to think I've gotten a lot better. And that's kind of where I want us to start on our journey when we look at emotional intelligence. So for this week, I want you to consider, how are some ways that you express your emotions, especially when you're feeling negative emotions? Some of us clam up and don't want to talk to anybody and bury things down. Sometimes we cry. Sometimes we have an emotional outburst that manifests itself in shouting, or manifests itself in a physical expression. Sometimes we pick up negative behaviors and habits because we're trying to manage our emotions with external things. So I want you to think about, how do you express your emotions, especially when we're feeling negative emotions? And then I also want you to think about how those expressions may impact the people around you. Again, when I look back at some of the negative emotional behaviors I used to possess, I think about how that has impacted the people, or how it might have impacted the people who were around me. And that's a great step toward realizing what we need to change, about the progress we want to make. And it's a great step toward empathy, thinking about how our actions and behaviors impact other people. So that's what we're talking about this week. And next week we move back into self-management. We're going to look at some different ways of managing some of those feelings. Right now we're just looking at being aware of how we express our emotions. Let's have another wonderful week. Much love.